It was just past 2 a.m. when I got the call. Suspicious individuals standing in the runoff ditch on County Line Road. That stretch of road is barely lit, especially during storms. No sidewalks, just narrow shoulders, trees on both sides, and about a mile of open ditch that carries water during heavy rain. The dispatcher added, "Caller was passing by, said a man was just standing motionless in the ditch. Didn't respond when honked at, just kept staring." I was nearby, maybe 5 minutes out. Rain was steady but not blinding. My patrol car cut through the darkness, wipers rhythmically slapping back and forth. When I turned onto County Line, I slowed down. Headlights swept the ditch line. I didn't see anything at first. Then I caught it. A figure. Standing perfectly still in the runoff ditch, water around his ankles. Just standing. I pulled onto the shoulder and flipped on the spotlight. He didn't move. White shirt, cargo pants, soaked to the skin, hands hanging loose at his sides. Head tilted slightly down, like he was staring at the water. I radioed in and stepped out of the car. "Sir? Are you all right?" He didn't look up. I kept my hand near my belt, but didn't draw anything. My boots sank slightly into the soft edge of the ditch as I approached. He was maybe mid-30s, Caucasian, short hair, clean-shaven, no blood, no injuries I could see. "You need help? Medical attention?" Nothing. He blinked once. That's it. After a few more attempts to talk, I reached gently for his shoulder. The second my fingers touched fabric, he jolted back like he'd been shocked. Not aggressive, more like someone waking up. He turned toward me, wide-eyed, breathing fast, but still said nothing. I backed up a step. "Hey, it's okay. I'm Officer Shepard. I'm just here to check on you. Can you tell me your name?" He finally whispered. "I didn't cross." Rain pattered around us. I leaned in slightly. "What do you mean?" He looked toward the other side of the road, toward the woods. I stayed on this side. I didn't cross. They told me not to cross. I asked who they were, but he didn't answer. I decided to move him into the cruiser to warm up and get dry. I guided him up the slope and toward the car. Once inside, he sat stiffly, didn't touch the heater vents, didn't look around, just stared at the dashboard. I ran his face through the in-car system. No matches, no missing persons, nothing. I asked again for his name. "Chris, I think." I brought him back to the station. We gave him dry clothes and something warm to drink. Still no ID. His story didn't change. "I didn't cross. I was told not to cross. That's all I remember. No signs of drugs, no alcohol. A county mental health specialist came in around 6 a.m. Said he didn't meet the threshold for hold or danger. Just seemed confused. We had no legal reason to keep him. No warrants, no crimes. So we let him go. 2 days later, another call came in. Different driver. Same ditch. Same spot. There's a guy just standing there. I was off shift, but I drove down. This time, no one was there. Just shallow water and tire tracks from utility trucks. I checked the shoulder, the woods, even further down the line. Nothing. But in the mud, about 20 yards away, I found a pair of footprints, bare feet, facing the woods, and one word scratched faintly into a broken drainage sign. Chris. It was a little past midnight on a Thursday when dispatch sent me to a welfare concern on Olive Street, an old cul-de-sac in the west part of town. A woman named Claire Keller had called saying she hadn't heard from her elderly neighbor, Mr. Haynes, in 2 days. She said his porch light was on, his mail was piling up, and his car hadn't moved. It was pouring rain. Not a drizzle, pouring. The kind where wipers at full speed barely keep up. I was tired, hungry, and honestly hoping it was just an old man who'd turned his phone off and gone to sleep early. I pulled up in front of the house, a 60s-style ranch. Wood siding, peeling white paint, an American flag half faded on the pole. The porch light was indeed on, but dim, like the bulb was on its last legs. No movement in the windows, no sound. I walked up the short concrete path, boots squishing in the grass. The screen door was latched. The main door behind it was closed but not locked. That's what struck me first. It was slightly ajar. "Mr. Haynes, it's Officer Lee with the department. You okay in there?" "Nothing." I waited a few seconds, then pushed the screen open and knocked on the door frame. Still no answer. Policy says we don't enter without cause unless there's evidence of distress. I called in for backup, just in case, and radioed that I'd try to make verbal contact again. That's when I noticed something. A faint, low tapping sound coming from inside. It wasn't constant, just a gentle tick, 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 like a metal object swinging and tapping against something. It was coming from the hallway beyond the front door. I called out again. "Sir? You all right?" Then stepped in. The house smelled stale, like old wood and mothballs. There was a TV on in the front room, playing static. A full glass of orange juice sat on the side table, untouched. The floor creaked beneath me with every step, and that tapping sound kept going. I made my way down the hall. 3 doors. First one was a bathroom, empty. The second was a bedroom, neatly made. Framed Navy photo on the wall. Mr. Haynes in uniform, smiling with his unit. No signs of struggle. Nothing tipped over. The last door, at the very end of the hallway, was mostly closed, but I could see it moving slightly, maybe from a window draft, or maybe just the house settling. The tapping was louder now, closer. I reached out and nudged the door open with 2 fingers. Inside was a small office. Desk, lamp, filing cabinet. It looked like he used it for mail and bills. Everything was in order, except for the chair in the middle of the room. It was turned to face the closet, and dangling from the closet doorknob was a metal keychain, just swaying back and forth, from a piece of fishing line. No wind, no fan, nothing that could have started it swinging like that. I turned the light on. The bulb flickered twice before staying on. There was no one in the room, no blood, no signs of violence. But the place felt off, like someone had left in a hurry but didn't plan to be gone long. Then I noticed something else. On the desk, there was a notepad, torn pages. But one page still had some faint pressure marks on it. I did the old pencil shading trick I learned back in training. A message appeared, just a couple words scribbled hard in capital letters. "Stop opening the door." I stopped moving. Every part of my training told me to back out, wait for backup, call for a welfare follow-up. But I was already in the house, and the front door had been unlocked. I radioed in an update and scanned the closet. It was full of coats, nothing weird. But when I pulled one of them aside, I saw a small hole in the drywall, fist-sized. Looked fresh. And on the other side of that hole, there was darkness. Not just shadow, but an open cavity between the walls. Backup arrived 20 minutes later. Another officer, Reyes. He and I checked the crawl space, attic and outside perimeter. No signs of forced entry. No footprints in the mud other than mine. Then Reyes did something I didn't think of. He opened the hallway coat closet near the front door. Inside were 2 more holes. Same size, same depth, same direction, into the interior walls. He turned to me and said, "You sure this guy lives alone?" I nodded slowly. "Supposed to. No kids. Wife died 10 years ago. No relatives listed in town." We found the mailbox key in the kitchen and went to check outside. It was stuffed. Not just junk mail, but newspapers. The last postmarked date was nearly 6 days ago. But Claire, The neighbor said it had only been 2. Something wasn't adding up. We canvassed the neighbors the next morning in daylight. Claire confirmed she'd spoken to him last week. Saw him taking out his trash on Friday. But another neighbor, an older man across the street, said he hadn't seen Mr. Haynes in over a week. Porch light's been on every night, though, he told us. Weird thing is, I thought I saw him through the front window Tuesday, just standing there. That's when I remembered the TV. It had been on, but just static. Not a single other light in the house. If Mr. Haynes was alive and around Tuesday, he hadn't made any calls. No purchases, no visits logged, nothing. We put out a missing persons notice and contacted his next of kin out of state. Still no sign of him. 3 days later, the landlord went in to clean the property for follow-up inspection. He called me. Said there was something scratched on the inside of that same office closet door. I drove down myself. There, in deep cuts, like from a key or coin, were the words, "He came through the wall." Now, I'm not saying anything unnatural happened. People get confused. They scratch things when they're scared or sick. Mr. Haynes could have had an episode. Maybe he hurt himself trying to escape through the wall and fled. But the weirdest part? The last camera ping we got on his phone's GPS showed movement at 3:17 a.m. the night I responded, nearly 30 minutes after I had cleared the house. It showed the signal leaving the property, and then cutting out completely 5 blocks away. The phone's never been found. Neither has Mr. Haynes. It was a little past 1 a.m. when the call came through dispatch. Unknown subject possibly trapped in a storm drain near Bellevue Avenue. The caller said they heard someone yelling faintly from the drain near the sidewalk while walking home in the rain. They couldn't see anyone, but they were sure it was coming from below. I was only a few blocks away. The rain was coming down steady, heavy enough to drown out light noise, but not enough to flood the streets completely. When I arrived, the area was empty. Just slick roads, glowing puddles under orange streetlights, and that low hum of rain hitting everything. I parked under a dead street lamp, grabbed my flashlight, and walked to the sidewalk by the drain. It was one of those wide concrete gutters with a grated opening at the base of the curb. I crouched down and called out, "Hello? Anyone down there?" For a moment, nothing. Just the rush of runoff pouring through. Then, a voice. Faint. "I'm here. Please. Help me." I froze for a second. It was definitely a man's voice. Weak. Hoarse. "Where are you? Are you injured?" A few seconds of silence. Trapped. Below. It didn't make sense. The storm drain was narrow, and nobody should be able to fit down there, let alone get stuck. Still, I radioed it in. Possible person trapped in drainage, requesting backup and city maintenance. Location Bellevue and 9th. While waiting, I tried shining my flashlight down through the grates. Nothing but concrete tunnel and fast-moving water. "Can you tell me your name?" After a while, he said his name, Eric. I could barely hear him over the sound of the water. "Eric, we've got help coming. Try to stay calm." He didn't respond. I tried a few more times but got nothing. When the second unit arrived, they helped me remove the grate. It was bolted down but rusted from age. Once lifted, we aimed our lights inside. Still no visual. But the drain was large enough for someone to crawl through if they were desperate or confused. We called again. No answer. Then the voice came again, from deeper inside. "Don't leave me." I looked at my partner. Should we go in? Protocol said no. Too dangerous. Risk of collapse or flash flooding. So we waited for Public Works. They arrived within 20 minutes and sent in a small inspection camera on a cable. The feed showed nothing. Just dark water, stained concrete. No body, no movement. No sign of a person at all. The voice didn't come again. Eventually, the crew ruled it clear. No way anyone's down there. It's just not possible. I remember feeling off. Not scared exactly, but like we missed something. Before we left, I leaned down one last time. I didn't say anything. I just listened. And faintly, under the rain and through the distant trickle of water, I heard what sounded like breathing. Shallow. Raspy. Then it stopped. The next morning, a report came in from a nearby block. A woman said someone had unscrewed the metal cover to a drain behind her house. She thought it was kids, but she found something wedged in the opening. A wallet. Soaked. Inside was a faded ID. Name: Eric D. Holloway. The photo looked just like someone I might have seen once, but I couldn't remember where or when. It was just past 2 a.m., and I was nearing the last stretch of my patrol shift. The rain hadn't let up since late evening. Not torrential, but steady, relentless. Most streets were dead quiet by that hour, just the occasional porch light flickering through the mist. I was cruising through County Road 12, a narrow two-lane that cuts past woods on both sides for about 5 miles. It's the kind of road that feels like it swallows sound. Even more so when it's soaked. As I rounded a bend near the old water tower, I saw someone walking on the shoulder. No umbrella, no raincoat, just a hooded sweatshirt, dark jeans, and a small backpack. That wasn't normal out here. I slowed down, angled the spotlight on the side mirror toward him. He didn't flinch, didn't turn around, just kept walking, soaked through. I pulled to the side, rolled my window halfway. "Hey there, you all right?" He finally turned. Young guy, maybe 20, pale, thin build. Expression was blank, lips tight like he'd been clenching them for a while. "I'm fine," he said flatly. "Where you headed?" "Just walking." "You got ID on you?" He hesitated, then slowly unzipped his backpack and handed over a soaked wallet. License inside said, Mark Bledsoe, 22. Address was about 12 miles away in Hollow Creek. He didn't look drunk or high, but something was off. "You want to ride somewhere? You'll catch pneumonia out here." "No thanks." I nodded slowly, letting a few seconds hang. "You got someone you can call? Family?" He shook his head. I didn't press him. Sometimes kids just need space. But something in his eyes unsettled me. Not fear, more like emptiness. I handed his wallet back and told him I'd circle back in 10 minutes. "If you change your mind, wait by the tower, all right?" He gave a slight nod. I drove off slowly. I turned down a side road and parked just out of sight, watching my rear view. Maybe 5 minutes passed. Then I saw him again, but he wasn't walking anymore. He was just standing still, right under the tower, facing the trees, back to the road. I pulled back around. This time I got out of the cruiser. Rain hit the brim of my hat and trickled down the back of my collar. "Mark? You all right?" He didn't turn. I took a few steps closer. His voice came quiet. "Do you hear it?" I stopped. "Hear what?" He turned slightly, not all the way. His face looked different. Not scared exactly, but distant. "The sound. Back there," he said, nodding toward the trees. I glanced past him, scanning the edge of the forest. Just wind brushing branches and steady rainfall. "Mark, I think you need to come with me, all right? Just to get dry, nothing more." He didn't answer. Then he stepped forward, toward the trees. Hey, stop. Come back here. He hesitated, then stopped, still facing the woods. I approached slowly and put a hand gently on his shoulder. He flinched, like I shocked him. Then he turned to face me fully, and I noticed his backpack was unzipped, and inside was a pair of muddy, torn shoes, a woman's purse, and what looked like a phone with a cracked screen. "Mark, where did you get those?" He stared at me, didn't answer. Rain pattered between us, thick and cold. "Whose stuff is that?" I repeated. He finally blinked. "I don't know." "Mark, listen to me. We need to talk. We need to go back to the station, okay?" He didn't run. He didn't resist. He just stood there, soaked, eyes glassed over. As I led him toward the cruiser, he said something I still remember clear as day. "I tried to help her." "What do you mean? Help who?" But he just looked down. I called it in. An officer from Hollow Creek PD later confirmed there was a missing persons report filed earlier that night. Female, early 30s. Her last known location was near the East Side Trail, less than half a mile from where I picked up Mark. They later found her phone's GPS. It pinged in the woods near the tower. A search team combed through the area all morning. They found her by noon, half submerged in a ditch behind the tree line. The medical examiner said she'd been alive when she went into the water, but not for long. No signs of trauma or assault. No signs Mark had done anything. Just wrong place, wrong time. She may have slipped in the dark and drowned in a foot of runoff. But to this day, I don't know what Mark meant by "I tried to help her." He was never charged. No evidence connected him. But I remember the sound of his voice, and how it didn't feel like guilt. It felt like something had broken. It was a little after 3 a.m. I was posted near an old rest stop off Route 17. Rain had been steady for hours, enough to make the asphalt hiss every time I rolled the cruiser forward. It wasn't the kind of shift where you expect much, maybe a speeding trucker or someone needing directions. But that night had a weight to it. One of those nights where everything feels a little too still, like the world's holding its breath. I was parked under a busted light near the vending machines. Everything dark but the red glow of my dashboard. Then I saw headlights in the distance, slowing, then stopping just off the main lot. A black Honda Accord. No plates. No interior lights coming on. Just sitting there. I waited for a minute. No one stepped out. That struck me as odd. Even in this weather, most people make a dash for the bathroom. I radioed it in. Possible disabled vehicle, Route 17 rest stop. Black sedan, no plates. Requesting backup for ID check. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out. The moment the rain hit me, it felt colder than it should have. I walked slowly toward the car. Driver's side window was up, glass streaked from years of use. I tapped the beam against it. Nothing. No movement. I circled to the passenger side. That's when I saw it. The inside of the window had a handprint. Small. Not fresh, but recently fogged. I knocked on the window. "Police, you okay in there?" After a second, the driver slowly turned their head. Male. Early 30s maybe. Scruffy. Pale. He didn't roll down the window. Just looked at me. Expression blank. I gestured down, signaling for the window. He didn't move. Just stared. That's when I heard a voice. From the back seat. Faint. But clear. "Don't let him take me." It was a female voice. Young. Scared. My stomach twisted. I took a step back and reached for my radio. Possible abduction situation, female voice in back seat. Requesting immediate backup. Then the man finally moved. He turned forward, started the engine, and took off. I ran to the cruiser, threw on the lights, and followed. He sped onto the highway, fishtailing through water and fog. Every instinct told me someone was in danger. I called the pursuit in. He led us through 2 exits before veering off a dirt road near Ridge Creek. Dead end. He stopped. I approached, weapon drawn. Step out of the vehicle with your hands where I can see them. He didn't move, just kept both hands on the wheel. Then, he smiled. Backup arrived less than a minute later. We removed him from the car and cuffed him. But the back seat, empty. No one else inside. No signs of struggle. No bag. No purse. No anything. I searched the entire vehicle. That handprint. It was still there, but smudged, like someone had tried to wipe it away. The man wouldn't speak. Didn't ask why he was being detained. Didn't protest. Just sat silently in the back of the patrol car. When we ran the VIN, it came back registered to a woman out of state. Reported missing 6 days ago. Her last known location? A rest stop off Route 17. They found her body the next morning in a creek bed about 4 miles from where he ran. Wrapped in tarp. No ID on her. But dental matched. That handprint on the window was hers. We still don't know why he stopped at the rest stop that night, or why he didn't just keep driving. But what I can't stop thinking about is what I heard. That voice. Faint. Terrified. Don't let him take me. It started just after 1:30 a.m. on a cold, wet Tuesday. Rain had been tapping on the roof of my cruiser since sundown. I was on routine patrol, winding through the south edge of Elridge County, near the outskirts where the old grain silos sit, unused for years. Those silos always gave me an odd feeling. Rusting metal giants, creaking when the wind hit right. Most kids in town called them haunted, but they were just forgotten, like a lot of places out here. As I passed the gravel access road leading up to them, I noticed something. A single figure standing near the base of Silo 3. Still, motionless, facing the structure. It wasn't someone I recognized. And at this hour, nobody had any business being out there. I pulled off the road slowly, tires crunching wet gravel. Flipped the spotlight toward him. He didn't move. Didn't look my way. I keyed the mic. "Dispatch, this is Unit 4. Got a lone male by the old silos. Checking it out." "Copy that, Unit 4. Backup's about 15 out." I stepped out of the cruiser. Rain hit instantly. My boots sunk into soft mud as I approached. "Sir, you all right?" Still no movement. I got closer. Hand near my belt. He was tall, mid-30s maybe, soaked hoodie, jeans darkened from the rain. Something about the way he stood, like he wasn't just looking at the silo, but listening to it. "You lost." No answer. "Need help?" Slowly. He turned. His face was pale, but calm. Not frightened, not aggressive. Just blank. His eyes didn't blink much. And when he finally spoke, it was quiet. "Used to live near here." I nodded. "Got ID on you?" He reached slowly into his hoodie pocket, pulled out a folded license. Water damaged. Name: Daryl L. Minton. Address listed was 2 counties east, but the photo matched. I asked what brought him out here. He said nothing, just stared back at the silo. I looked around. That place had been condemned since 2011. Fences rusted open. "You got family around here?" He shook his head, then said, almost in a whisper, "I was looking for her." That put my guard up. Who? Your sister? Wife? No, not family. He stepped a little closer to the metal walls. It happened here, back then. What happened here? I asked. No answer. Sir, I need you to step back from the silo and talk to me. That's when I noticed something on the wall near him. A dark smear. Thick. Could have been oil. Could have been something else. I took a few steps closer with my flashlight raised. And that's when I saw it. A shape. Half buried in the tall grass behind the silo. At first, I thought it was a pile of debris. But the outline was wrong. Too human. Sir, back away right now. He just stood there. I moved quickly toward the object. Confirmed it was a body. Face down. Female. Hair matted with mud and blood. Fresh. Still warm. Throat cut open. That's when he turned and walked toward me. Not rushed. Not panicked. Just walking. Don't move. Get on the ground. I shouted. He didn't listen. He kept walking. I drew my weapon. He stopped about 10 feet from me. Rain dripping off his hood. He looked at the body, then back at me. She wouldn't stop screaming. I radioed for immediate backup. Dispatch, I've got a confirmed 187. Suspect on scene, standing by with weapon drawn. My voice was shaking, but he didn't care. I ordered him down again, this time. He complied. Slowly got to his knees, hands out, eyes still fixed on the woman. When backup arrived, he didn't resist, didn't say a word. Later, we ID'd the victim. Local woman, late 20s. Reported missing 2 days ago. Her car was found abandoned near Route 19. She had no connection to him. No reason they should have ever crossed paths. He never gave a motive. Just sat there in the cell, repeating. She wouldn't stop screaming. He was ruled competent. Convicted within months. Serving life without parole. But I still think about that night. About how calm he was. How he didn't try to hide it. And why, of all places, he brought her there. To the silos. Where no one goes. Where no one would hear her scream. It was a little after 3 a.m. when dispatch sent me out to check on a property out near Granger Hollow. Old man named Roy Wallace had called in. Said he saw flashlights moving around his barn. The guy's been living out there alone for years. Big stretch of farmland that backs right up to dense woods. Only one access road, and it floods out easy when the weather turns. That night, rain was coming down hard. Wipers barely keeping up. Wind howling through the open fields. The kind of night that feels longer than it is. Roy met me at the door. Wiry frame, flannel shirt tucked into old jeans, boots soaked halfway up. His hands trembled slightly. Told you. I saw someone out there. Not an animal. 2 of them. He pointed past his back porch. Lights barely reached that far. I saw the silhouette of the barn maybe 40 yards out. Beyond that, the woods swallowed everything. You sure you didn't imagine it? I ain't blind, son. They had flashlights. Saw 'em swinging around out by the loft door. Then they just disappeared. I nodded. Told him to lock up and stay inside. Then I stepped off the porch and into the mud. The barn looked like something out of time. Wood rotting at the edges. Rusted tools lining the walls. I pushed the heavy door open. Light from my mag beam catching dust in the air. It smelled like hay, wet wood, and something else. Something metallic. The lights were off inside, but I spotted tracks in the mud just outside. two distinct sets, and something had scraped the edge of the doorway. I stepped in. The creaking echoed way too loud. I moved slow, sweeping the beam across the barn floor. Tools scattered, feed sacks torn open. A red smear dragged about 6 feet across the boards and up the ladder to the loft. My gut tightened. Granger County 5. I've got signs of forced entry and blood in the barn. Requesting backup to 122-117 Redfield line. Rain hammered the tin roof. I climbed the ladder slowly, gun drawn, one step at a time. Every creak felt like a warning. At the top, I paused, listened. Nothing but the rain and my own breathing. Then, a whisper of movement. Far corner. I turned the light. There was a man sitting in the shadows, back against the wall, hands raised. Don't shoot. He was in his late 20s maybe. Soaked hoodie, mud-caked jeans. Blood on his hands. Eyes darting. Who else is here? He shook his head. Just me. I swear. Then who's bleeding? He didn't answer. That's when I heard it. From below. A single creak. I leaned over the loft rail. Saw another figure slipping through the barn door into the dark. I had to make a call. Detain this guy or pursue the runner. I kept my weapon trained. On your face. Hands behind your head. Now. He didn't resist. I cuffed him. Called it in. Then I raced out into the field. The second figure was maybe 100 yards ahead by then. Running toward the woods. I shouted, but he didn't stop. My boots sank with every step, but adrenaline kept me moving. By the time I reached the tree line, he was gone. We found him 2 days later, face down in a ravine 10 miles east. Hypothermia took him before the cold did. He had a switchblade in his pocket, and a backpack with stolen jewelry, 2 wallets, and an ID from a missing woman in the next county. The guy I caught in the barn, his name was Caleb Dorsey. He'd been hitching rides for weeks. Didn't even know the other guy's real name. Just called him Jax. Said he met him 2 weeks earlier on the interstate. Started traveling together, squatting in abandoned places. According to Caleb, Jax wasn't right. Talked about cleaning up filth and making them disappear. There were 3 missing person cases in counties Jax passed through, but we never found enough to tie him to anything else. Just that dead woman's ID and Caleb's story. Roy moved out 3 weeks later. Said he couldn't sleep after that night. Said he kept waking up thinking he saw lights moving behind the barn again. I don't blame him. Some nights, when I'm driving past those same fields on patrol, I slow down, look toward that old barn, and for a second, I swear I still see someone standing there, just watching, silent, waiting. It started with a call about a vehicle parked on the bridge out by Quiet Creek. 1-lane pass. No shoulder. Locals use it all the time, but nobody hangs around there. Especially not this time of night. It was nearly 2:45 a.m. Rain had been coming down steady since midnight. The kind of cold that sticks to your bones. I pulled up slow. Cut the high beams so I wouldn't blind whoever was out there. There it was. A gray SUV just sitting dead center. Hazards off. Lights off. No sign of movement inside. I called it in. Got out. The rain sounded different on that bridge. Hollow somehow. Like it was falling into a void beneath me. I approached the driver's side. No one behind the wheel. But the door was open slightly. Interior light off. Keys still in the ignition. Phone on the passenger seat. Cracked screen. I circled the car. Rear hatch was open too. Like someone had started unloading something. Only, nothing was there. Just a blanket and a single muddy boot. I stepped back. Scanned both ends of the bridge. Nothing but trees. And the sound of the creek below. I radioed for backup. Started checking the woods just off the shoulder. My flashlight barely pierced the thick brush, but then I saw it. Footprints. Heading off the road. Bare feet. One set. They led straight into the trees. About 30 yards in, I found something else. A plastic bag, torn open. Contents spilled into the mud. Clothes, soaked through. Wallet. No cash, no ID, and a Polaroid photo. It showed two people standing by that same SUV, smiling, except the left side of the image was burned, as if it had been held to a flame. I kept moving. The trail led to a clearing. An old fire pit sat in the center, recently used, embers still faintly glowing despite the rain. And around it, scattered food wrappers, a second boot, and something that stopped me cold. A line of small stones, arranged in a circle. Inside it, a phone playing a looping video. Just static. No service out there. No signal to stream anything. But the screen flickered. Just static. I backed away slowly. Started making my way out. That's when I saw it. Another flashlight. Further up the hill. Faint but deliberate. Not swaying like someone searching. Just still, like it was watching. I called out. No answer. Tried moving toward it, but as soon as I started, it blinked out. Gone. I stood there in the dark. Couldn't hear anything but the rain, and the soft buzz of the static still playing behind me. Something about that spot felt wrong. Heavy. I turned around and got back to the bridge. Car still there. Untouched. Backup arrived 15 minutes later. We combed the woods until sunrise. Found nothing else. No person. No bodies. No new prints. Just that photo. And that weird static video. The vehicle was registered to a woman from 2 counties over. No missing persons filed yet. But 3 days later, a man walked into a sheriff's station 2 towns east. Said he woke up in the woods with no memory of how he got there. His clothes were wet and muddy. 1 boot missing. Wouldn't say his name. Wouldn't speak after that first sentence. Just kept repeating, "Don't go near the creek. Don't go near the creek." They never connected him officially to the SUV. No fingerprints, no ID. But something in his eyes said he'd been out there that night. And he'd seen something. I still pass that bridge sometimes. Locals say they avoid it now. Claim their radios cut out when they drive over. One guy even said he saw a boot lying in the middle of the road, but when he stopped to check, it was gone. I don't know what happened that night, but sometimes, when the rain's coming down and I'm driving alone, I hear static on the radio, and I swear, for just a second, I see a flashlight flicker in the woods by the creek, just watching, waiting. It started around 1:47 a.m. The call came through dispatch as a static-filled 911 hang-up from a rural address about 8 miles outside our patrol zone. It wasn't uncommon. Bad weather, bad wiring, but protocol said we had to check it out. I was closest, so I took the drive. The rain had been steady all night. A cold, soaking drizzle that fogged the windows and slicked the gravel roads. I took the turnoff onto Red Oak Trail, a thin strip of road that cut into the hills and vanished into the trees. By the time I pulled up to the address, 1337 Red Oak, I had lost signal on my radio. No cell service either. Just woods, a trailer with 1 porch light flickering, and the sound of rain pinging off my roof. I keyed the mic anyway. Dispatch, this is Unit 2. Arrived on scene at 1337 Red Oak. 911. Hang up. Attempting contact. Static. I waited. Nothing. I stepped out, boots sinking into wet gravel, and approached the trailer. It looked old but maintained. Porch light buzzing above the door. Screen door slightly ajar. I knocked. No answer. Then again. Louder. Still nothing. I opened the screen door, gently pushed the main door open. It wasn't locked. Sheriff's Department. Anyone home? The inside was lived in. TV was on, volume low, playing static. Kitchen light was on, sink full of dishes. A pot of coffee on the warmer, burned nearly dry. But no one. I moved room to room. Small bedroom, double bed, blankets thrown off like someone got up in a hurry. A closet door wide open, clothes shifting slightly from the draft. Bathroom, toothbrush still dripping wet. Steam on the mirror. Whoever had been here very recently. I called out again. No answer. Tried the radio again. Still just static. Then, a faint creak from the back room. I turned quickly, flashlight sweeping. The bedroom door was now almost closed. I was sure I had left it halfway open. I stepped toward it, pushed the door open with my foot. Nothing. Just the bed, closet, shadows. I was starting to feel the crawl. That uneasy, skin-tightening tension. I backed out, went to the front door to check my unit. That's when I saw it. My cruiser's dome light was on. Driver door cracked open. I never left it that way. I stepped out onto the porch. Rain still falling, steady now. I approached the vehicle, hand resting on my sidearm. Door was open. Radio dead. Keys still in ignition. The driver's seat was soaked, like someone had been sitting there with drenched clothes, but I had left it dry. Back seat empty. Trunk closed. My breathing got tight. I stood up, turned to look at the trailer. That's when the porch light went out. I stared for a long second. No sound but the wind and rain. Then the TV inside changed. I could see it flickering through the front window. No longer static. It was showing my cruiser. A live feed. From the woods across the yard. I turned. Looked toward the trees. Nothing. Just darkness and the shifting limbs. I backed toward the unit. Opened the driver door. Sat down. Closed it. Tried the radio again. Dispatch, this is Unit 2. I need immediate backup at 1337 Red Oak. Anyone copy? Static. Then, a voice. But not dispatch. Unit 2. Do not enter the residence again. The voice was mine. My voice. From a previous call, weeks ago. I felt cold. Shut the radio off. Turned the engine. It stalled. Tried again. Cranked. Sputtered. Dead. I grabbed the shotgun from the rack. Got out. Started walking down the road. I walked until sunrise. No signal returned until I was nearly 5 miles out. When the other units found the place, the trailer was empty. No sign of a TV. No pot on the stove. Just a gutted shell of a building that had burned down over a year ago. The foundation was scorched. The address marker rusted and half melted. They said I must have gotten lost. Wandered to an abandoned site, but my cruiser was there, parked neatly in the old driveway, keys in the ignition, radio working just fine. They checked the dashcam footage. It showed me parking, stepping out, then static, hours of static. That was 4 months ago. I still haven't listened to the whole audio log from that night. Can't bring myself to. But sometimes I wake up, cold sweat, and every so often, My own voice says things I don't remember saying. The call came in just before 2 a.m. A local fisherman reported a car half submerged at the end of a boat ramp out at Silver Pine Lake. No sign of anyone around, just the headlights glowing under the waterline. It had been raining non-stop for hours. Heavy, cold, early spring rain that flooded out the back roads and turned everything slick and slow. Dispatch was backed up, so I took it myself. Small county. Wasn't like there were a dozen units to choose from. By the time I turned off the main road, I had to drop into low gear. The access trail down to the ramp had turned into a stream. Trees crowding overhead, branches slapping the cruiser like they were trying to stop me. I saw the light first. Faint. Yellow-white. Cutting through the mist just enough to tell me something was definitely down there. As I pulled up, I angled the cruiser so the beams would hit the water. Sure enough, there was a black sedan nosed into the lake. Back half up on the concrete slab. Front half submerged, headlights still on. Driver door hanging open. I radioed it in. No plate match yet. No reports of a stolen vehicle. The fisherman who called it in was gone. I could see a fresh set of tire tracks that had backed out in a hurry. Can't say I blamed him. I stepped out. Rain immediately soaking through the seams of my jacket. The sound of it tapping on the roof of the cruiser, the hood, the lake, like static. The car looked empty. I swept my flashlight around the interior. No movement, no body. Just an open glove box and some papers floating near the footwell. I approached carefully. Water lapped just past my boots as I stepped up to the edge of the ramp. There were footprints. One set, barefoot. They led away from the car. Back toward the tree line, not down the road. I called it in. Requested another unit. Told dispatch I'd be checking the woods near the shore. It was dark. Not just nighttime dark, but thick, wet, suffocating dark. Like the sky had closed in. My light barely reached 10 feet in front of me. I moved slow. Every branch that snapped underfoot made my heart jump. The wind whistled through the pines like someone whispering. About 20 yards in, I found the first thing that made my stomach drop. A shirt. White, soaked, crumpled. Caught on a thorn bush. Beside it, a smear of mud. Like someone had slipped or crawled. I kept going. Started calling out. Sheriff's Department. If you're out here, I need you to respond. Nothing. Just the wind and rain. Another 30 feet in, I saw something metallic glint off to my right. I moved toward it. Turned out to be a set of keys, half buried in mud. The fob was cracked. Still blinking faintly. Same make as the car. But no sign of a person. No blood. No shoes. Nothing else. That's when a splash. Back near the ramp. I turned fast. Made my way back through the trees, faster than I should have. Slipped once, landed hard on my side, but got up quick. When I broke the tree line, the car was exactly as I left it. Still half submerged. Still empty. But the footprints I'd seen before, they were gone. Washed out. Like they'd never been there. I scanned the shoreline with my flashlight. Saw something just past the driver's side rear. I stepped in, boots sinking in the mud. Focused the light. It was a phone. Face up. Screen cracked. Still lit. Still recording a voice memo. I picked it up carefully. Listened. Static. Then, a voice. Soft. Shaky. I don't think I'm alone out here. I thought it was a deer. But it's not. It's not moving right. If someone finds this... The recording cut off. I checked the info. Last updated 12 minutes earlier. I don't know why, but that hit me hard. Felt fresh. Close. I looked out over the lake. The fog had started rolling in thicker. I couldn't see the other shore anymore. Could barely make out the end of the car. I waited until backup arrived. Another deputy, Jackson, younger guy. We secured the scene, got recovery out there by dawn. No ID in the car. No plates matched anything local. Phone wasn't registered to any active number. VIN came back to a vehicle reported sold at auction 4 years prior. No records after that. They dragged the lake for 3 days. Never found a body. No reports of missing persons matched the car or the recording. We filed it away as unresolved suspicious circumstance. Not much else we could do. But I still think about it. Sometimes I dream about walking barefoot into the woods, hearing something behind me, turning around and seeing nothing, but knowing something's there. It started with a call from dispatch around 2:40 a.m. Older woman said she saw a flashlight bobbing around the woods across from her property, off County Route 12 near Dunley Creek. Normally, I wouldn't even respond solo to something like that. But with the bridge on the east side washed out from the week's rain, I was the closest unit by 20 minutes. And truth be told, I needed the drive to stay awake. The woman, Mrs. Lane, met me at the edge of her driveway. Rain falling in a constant drizzle, soaking through her shawl. She pointed out across the creek and up the ridge. There's an old cabin up there. Hasn't been lived in for years. But I swear, officer, I saw someone walking around with a light. I asked her to go back inside and lock her doors. Then I stepped into the brush. The trail leading up was slick, roots like snakes underfoot, trees creaking. Visibility dropped fast as I went deeper into the woods. About 15 minutes in, I saw it. The old hunting cabin. Rotting timbers, sagging roof, chimney crumbled halfway. But sure enough, something was casting faint light from inside. A dim, pulsing glow, like a lantern moving slowly behind curtained windows. I radioed in, said I was checking a possible trespasser. Then I unholstered and approached. The front door hung half open, wood swollen with moisture. I pushed it gently. It groaned louder than it should have. Inside was wrong. Dust thick as velvet, but fresh footprints in it. Furniture draped in white sheets. But one chair, facing the center of the room, was bare. That pulsing light came from a small oil lamp sitting on the floor. No one else in sight. I moved through the room slow, each step kicking dust into the beam of my flashlight. The smell hit me all at once. Mildew, wet paper, and something coppery underneath. The back room had an old mattress, torn and slumped sideways. On the wall above it, in what looked like dried paint or blood, was a single word. Stay. I called out, but my voice died in the rafters. No answer. Then something moved upstairs. A floorboard creaked. I swung the light to the staircase. County Sheriff's Department, step out now. Another creak. Then nothing. I ascended, gun drawn. Each step seemed to groan just beneath my weight. Upstairs was a single room. Window boarded. Only light came from my beam. It was empty. Except for a mirror hanging on the far wall. Not dusty like everything else. Polished. Almost shining. I approached it cautiously and stopped cold. My reflection wasn't alone. Behind me, clearly in the mirror, stood a man. Gaunt, long coat, face pale as wax, expression unreadable. I turned around fast. Nothing. I turned back to the mirror. Still nothing. But there, on the glass, were 4 fresh fingerprints, pressed hard into the lower corner. I didn't imagine it. I backed out of that room, down the stairs fast. That's when I noticed something new in the front room. The chair that was bare when I came in now had a book sitting on it. I didn't place it there. Old leather-bound journal. Cracked cover, spine torn. I opened it. The pages were filled with what looked like journal entries, all dated between 1974 and 1976. The final page read, "He watches from the ridge. When it rains, he comes down to listen. If you see the light, leave. If you hear your name, run." My stomach twisted. Just then, my radio crackled to life. Only it didn't sound like dispatch. It sounded like someone whispering. My name. Deputy. Matt. Static. Then again. Behind you. I turned so fast I nearly lost my balance. Nothing. No one. I left that cabin in full retreat. Didn't stop till I was back at the cruiser. I called it in as a trespasser who fled the scene. Didn't mention the mirror, or the voice. They sent a team up the next morning. Didn't find anyone. But they did find the journal. And the prints on the mirror. Human. But too long. Too wide. Didn't match mine. Didn't match anyone's in the system. Mrs. Lane moved out a week later. Said she saw that same pulsing light again the night after I visited the cabin. No one's lived up there since the 70s. But the cabin still stands. Some nights, when I patrol near Dunley Creek, I swear I see a soft glow way up on that ridge. I never go back.